Over the weekend, I read that Chris Russo, the Mad Dog.
Yeah.
I'm not a sports guy, so I've never heard Mike and the Mad Dog. But Mike and the Mad Dog are a popular New York radio show, sports show on WFAN.
They started in '89 in the afternoons, and for a while, I was really, really into their show in the early '90s.
Why did you
that
stop?
year, the Giants were good. Well, I moved to L.A.
Right.
And but from the time they came on in '89 until I left for L.A. in early '95, I listened to them quite a bit because I was way more into the NFL during those years. Those were heavy gambling years for me.
Dear.
They really were. And I remember when the Giants won in January of '91 when they beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl. I listened to every second of that show because I would bet on the games. I was into the Giants, and I really got into them.
So you enjoyed the two of them.
I enjoyed their dynamic.
And then when you came back to New York, you didn't go back to listening to them?
When I came back, by the time I got back to New York on a regular basis, I spent most of the 6 years from '95 to '01 there. I really didn't come back fully till I came for this show.
Right.
And by that time, I wasn't as big a sports fan. I wasn't gambling nearly as much, and I would go back and listen sometimes, but
didn't have the same.
Yeah, no, I had gotten.
You were over it.
I sort of got over it. Yeah, which shows. I mean, like it's weird. Like with this show, I never got tired of it ever, even if I had lulls. But with that show, yeah, I kind of outgrew it. I think.
Well, they were popular, and they generated quite a bit of income for WFAN and CBS Radio. And as we know, CBS Radio hasn't been doing too well because a certain somebody left and. A lot of money went out the window.
That?
I don't know, but they should have thought about
it.
that.
It ain't Imus.
Right. So, anyway, this was news that they decided to break up.
You're kidding.
Mike and the Mad Dog and the other guy.
What other guy?
Chris.
Mad Dog and
Mike Francesa.
Mike Francesca.
Mike
Francesca and Chris Russo broke up.
Okay, so it's just the two of them.
And Mike Francesca is going to stay.
I like Francisco.
He is going to stay at WFAN.
Where's Russo going?
And I think he's coming here. Yeah. According to what I read in the paper, it's not official, but someone said Mel made him a pretty good offer to come over here.
Isn't that interesting? Because someone was saying we needed a heavy-duty, name sports.
We got him.
Guy to be here on Sirius.
I got him right here.
Everybody was saying, get Mike and the Mad Dog.
We have Pharrell, though. Pharrell is a big deal.
But my point is, they were saying, I know we have Pharrell, but somebody was floating that idea of having Mike and the Mad Dog here.
Pharrell is a much hipper guy to have,
he definitely
without
is.
question. But
definitely.
Russo, I'll tell you.
But didn't Russo win a contest?
I don't
know. But my point is.
A contest.
I thought he was a listener who won a
contest.
No,
that's Joe Beningo.
I was very pleased to see that Sirius Radio, if this is true, is making yet another financial commitment to someone who has an audience, who is a good broadcaster.
Well,
I assume
that's
he's
what
a good
I like.
broadcaster.
He's a broadcaster.
He's not a good broadcaster. He's a passionate sports guy. He
that
has
would make a good broadcaster.
He has awful grammar.
That's what No, he's a guy. He's a good broadcaster.
Well, he's a nerdy guy. But
is he?
Yeah. But what I liked about them was, and especially Russo, a lot of the guys in L.A., when I would try to listen to those sports guys, they were all these guys who were trying to get sitcoms. That's not what the Mad Dog is. The Mad Dog is a real geeky sports fan. He admits it.
That's right.
And he's passionate about it, and he yells and screams. And I find him, sometimes they would be solo, and I don't know if Gary agrees with this because he listened to them a lot. I always love when Russo was by himself over Francesa. Much more.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, I think he's more entertaining.
Here's the rub. According to what I'm reading in the paper, again, this is in the paper, and same
they
papers.
Said you got married.
Right, the same papers that report that I got married. But they say that that Francesa had recently gotten a couple of $100,000 more than Russo, and Russo had decided, they weren't treating him equally, and it was time for him to leave.
There's been rumors that they don't like each other.
It's legendary that they don't like each other, and they've been pretty open. I mean, I've heard them talk on the air. A guy called up one day, and he goes, you guys don't like each other that much. And Mike goes, I've never hidden that. We never hidden that.
Francesa has to be nervous because if Russo is the draw, if the Mad Dog is the draw, Francesa's got to be somewhat nervous about carrying the show on his own. I mean,
you know what? He should be, but you have to.
Some solo stuff before, right?
You'd have to listen to the show. Francesa's nervous about nothing.
Right.
You know, he's very he's pompous and arrogant.
That might be on the air. But
right.
The fact of the matter is, he's got to be saying to himself, I got a good deal going with this guy. Why, geez, what's it going to be like if in a year from now they fire his ass?
See, I think that all along he's tried to distance himself from the team.
That's right. I think he's been trying to figure out how to be solo for a longer time than you think. I think that he's always, they're good together, but I think he's always felt that he could always do it by himself. And he said that he's going to rotate different guys through there. It's not going to be just him.
I see.
But he's
CBS. It's a very strange decision to let this guy Mad Dog go.
I agree.
But the stranger their decisions, the better for us over here at Satellite.
I hope it's as good a decision as they've made before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Francesa,
and if the guy coming over here brings over 100,000 subscribers or 200,000 subscribers,
right?
He's
That's
worth
a good
his
deal.
He's worth his deal.
Well, I don't know. I like I say, when they would do it solo, I always liked Russo better.
Well, the guy you really wanted to hear was Russo.
Well,
Francesa, what did he do?
No, I loved Francesa. Their dynamic together was great. Francesa's a more knowledgeable sports guy, much more.
But that's my point. He would just sit there and he's sort of bland while he tells you the facts.
No, he's not bland at all.
I listened to the show.
No, I disagree, Robin.
Female, not a sports fan. I would wait for the Mad Dog to pipe in.
Well, Francesa's not bland at all. No, they're both good personalities, and I think together they were really great. But Francesa really is. He gets on your nerves. He's so pompous. Like he won't shut up about something, even if it's. Like, it's been proven wrong about it.
Let me say this about that. Have you ever watched him on TV by himself?
Well, watching him's difficult.
Yeah, watching either one of them.
Well, here's the point. Again, Satellite Radio is there in a competitive way to say, okay, we'll blow this thing up. We'll hire this guy and let you hear him without 10 million commercials.
I wonder what he's going to sound like, unbridled.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not going to work dirty. As a matter of fact, he's like an old young guy,
right?
Yeah.
Russo. He like when Dennis Miller got the job on Monday Night Football, they were forced to acknowledge that because he came into sports, and you'd think you were talking to your 90-year-old uncle. They were both. These are guys like younger than you and Howard. I'm pretty sure, and they're like. What's this guy? A comedian, Mike? A political guy or something? Dennis Miller? I never heard of him. He's like a liberal guy.